Hello and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is April the 6th, 2023. And I'm coming to you from southwestern Ontario, almost the southernmost tip of Canada. And I like to share with you my finished objects, and sometimes I have whips to show, and lots of times I have yarn acquisitions to share with you. And the yarn that I mostly share is hand-dyed yarn, more luxury yarns, not the big box store yarn. So if that is of interest to you, I hope you will stay around and join us and come back again. So please hit the subscribe button. And I appreciate everybody that hits the thumbs up. And most of all, I really, really appreciate comments, and I respond to every one of them. Now, just before we get started with our regular weekly things, I just want to mention the video that I put out on Saturday, which was an extra video, and a lot of you caught that, where I had the slideshow of items for March, and I showed the colors for this coming month for April. I have to remember what month I'm in. How fast the time goes. I just want to say one more word of thanks to all my viewers who submitted pictures for that slideshow. I think I must have the best group of viewers in YouTube land. I had 20 people submit, and they all were anxious to see the next month, so I'm sure I'll hear from 20 of them again. And I know I have a few others that didn't manage to make it in time who are planning to submit this next month. And I have to tell you how much I appreciate that you follow me and are participating in this monthly cow and sending me your photos. I want to tell you that I get a lot of very, very positive comments about the work that you all send me. So we just all really enjoy it. So keep it coming. And while we're talking about the monthly cow, I just want to remind you that this month, here is the inspiration picture once more. Daffodils. And for those that would have missed it, these are the colors that I'm going to be using. I think they go quite well with that picture. And I know the pattern I'm going to be doing, and I'm not starting it right away because I started something else that I will share with you later in this video. So I just put those aside for now. So, have you all been busy this past week? I am very happy to say that I have a finished object. Something that I showed you I was working on last week. I've been working on it for more than a week, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. And it is what I am wearing. And I know you can't see it very well. I'll stand up in a minute. But this was the hexagonal sweater I was talking about. So let me just push back a bit here and show it to you. So I used Pima cotton. See how that's the center of the hexagon, and it goes out from there. And you can't see right to the bottom, but it does go down long enough. I'm wondering about maybe putting at least one pocket on it, but if I do it, I'll probably do 2 pockets. I'll have to think about that. But I know I said to you it really bothered me how big the sleeves were, so you can see I managed to put on a cuff. Had to go try it twice before I got it to work, but I'm quite happy with the cuff that I got on it. And one of my viewers told me, and I wish I'd known this sooner, but I may make another one of these. I have some other yarn in mind for it. But she told me there is a pattern for it on Hobie. Hobie has free patterns on a lot of things, and I never thought to look there for this pattern. I went and looked at YouTube videos to get an idea of what to do, how to get it started. And most of them make it with granny squares. And as you can see, I made it solid because I want to wear this in the spring for warmth. So what I learned is I could avoid my sleeve problem by stopping sooner. If I stopped when the sleeves were, I have to get a little bit of a square made, but if I stopped here and sewed it up on both sides, then I could go around and make everything bigger except the sleeve. Then I would be able to bring the sleeve in sooner. It wouldn't be as wide. I wouldn't have to decrease as much. But honestly, I have to say, I don't mind this. I don't mind the bulky sleeve as long as it came in tight at my wrist. So I'm thinking of making this again with a number of colors. Like I think I have 4 colors of Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. And I'm thinking of using that, and I would do the big open granny clusters and make it like a summer sweater. That's in the back of my mind to maybe make later in the spring. We'll see if I get to it or not. But anyway, I'm very happy with how this turned out. And for once, I have a wearable that I'm pleased with, and I know I'm going to get some use out of this. So that's the one finished objects that I completed this past week. I have one other finished object, but I completed this like way back. I don't know if it was in the early summer, late spring. I was doing a test pattern for someone, and then she said she had issues and I didn't see her, and I waited and waited and waited, and I finally said, you know what? Maybe something's happened to her. She's never got back to me in getting close to a year. So I don't think I'm going to hear from her. So I want to show you this pattern or this shawl. Now, I can't get her back far enough. Anyway, I'll take it off. I've got it tied in the front. And it is what I call a crescent shawl. It's not deep, but it's circular. See, it's circular here. And it gets quite wide. It is way wider than my wingspan. I didn't measure it, but that's okay. Being that wide, it will drape over your shoulders and you can tie it. And you can see it's not deep, but this is a unique pattern. This part wasn't very different. It's just double crochets and then, the lace open work on some rows. But the bottom is what is so different. See the loops in the bottom? Now that was a new sort of technique or bunch of stitches for me. And when you block it, I had to get great big markers to put in these loops to hold them open. So they're big loops along the bottom. Now this is very soft. I'm almost positive, 98% positive, that I used Sincere Sock from EFA. Pretty sure it took 2 balls, and it is very, very nice and soft. And it's just a merino nylon blend. They don't have this color at the moment, but here you see the bottom of that shawl. So that wasn't a bad, it wasn't a hard pattern. The loops took a little bit of work. I think it will fit very nicely over somebody's shoulders. tie it up. So that's a finished object that I thought I could finally show you. And that's it for finished objects. But I want to show you something else, which meant I brought out a finished object from my stash that I don't think you've seen before. Because what I wanted to show you was something I received this week. And I just realized this is the beginning of a new month. So Kiki has to say hello in her new outfit. I thought it looked pretty Easterish this week being Easter. And I like, to me, those are kind of Easter colors. And it has sparkle in it. I don't know, the sparkle shows a teeny bit, but not much. So I'm just going to put her up there. Sorry for that. I totally forgot. So I received a week or so ago, and I forgot to show it last week, but last week was a busy week. I sometimes find that I run into problems with shawls staying on, and I'm sure you had the same problem, and it can be a problem with asymmetrical triangles as well. And I saw somebody talking about something they had bought, and you know, I knew it because I thought I had bought one in the past, but I couldn't find it. But I went on Etsy and I found what they call shawl or scarf bands. This is one I bought. Cuffs, shawl cuffs, that's what they call it. Shawl cuff. People reuse belts and other things and repurpose them into other leather goods. And this is one. It's a little heavier, so I couldn't use it today. And it just clasps on, and it can hold it in the front if you just bring them together and hold it. But that one was long enough to tie. The other one I brought down to show you is this one. This is an asymmetrical triangle. And I also got this cuff, and this one is thinner, and it wraps around as many times as you need to, and then it weaves into like a little buckle idea. And I got the two of these. They have lots and lots of them online, but I got the two of these from a Canadian person on Etsy. And here it is. It's Howling Hills. And in fact, she is in Northern Ontario, if I recall correctly. And there's all her information. I'll try to remember to put a link to her Etsy store. But you can see she has, looks like a website as well. So I've seen these kind of cuffs used as well, but this was too fine. I had it on there and it was going to fall off. So this would be better on something bulky. And I do have bulky weight ones. Sometime I'll maybe put it on that to show you. And now while we have this out, and I've shown you this, it will slide off, but you can see it's not sliding off real easy, so you know it will stay if you are wearing it. That isn't going to work. That won't go through it. So yepper. I could undo the buckle, but it's hard to do up again once you undo it. Anyhow, so it's just a long thin strip, and then you wrap it around as many times as you'd like. But here is the asymmetrical triangle I made. It's a very, very subtle gradient from pale green. Doesn't even look very green on the screen there. Greener on that side. And it just gets bigger, nothing fancy. I think it's double crochets. And it gets to pale blue. But this is really, really soft. Again, it was a hand-dyed cake that I bought on from Etsy a couple years ago, but it's merino, cashmere, and silk. So you know that it is very, very soft to the touch. And I don't think I have shown this before. So that's another FO that is new. But I think I'm going to get some use out of these shawl cuffs. I'm pretty sure I have another one as well. Now, by the way, this is going to be a shorter video than usual. I don't have a lot of finished objects, so I don't have a lot to show you. Okay, what am I working on? That's the next thing I want to show you, is what I am working on this week. If you remember last week, I showed you that I was working on this, and I showed you that I was working on the black lace using amazing lace from Lion Brand. Crystal Bag O' Day pattern, and I started to do a little more work on it, and I have to be honest with you, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't grabbing me. It was very fine, although that's not all the reason. There's just something about it that I just did not feel motivated to keep working on. So I unfortunately put it in a project bag and put it aside for later. I don't want to leave it as a, a whip or a UFO that sits there for years. I do want to get back to it sometime late spring, early, might be fall, but I do want to get back to it and finish it before this year is out. But I was really anxious instead to get on to this new project. So I am working on this project that is called Windsurfer Scarf. I've seen a couple of other YouTubers show their finished product, and I have been wanting to do it for a while. So I called my friend over and we got out all of my gradient cakes and we put them all out, and I said, let's pick combinations that would be good together, because this takes 2 gradient cakes. Now, they use 2 full gradient cakes, and that's 2,000 yards. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be massive. It's an asymmetrical triangle. So I may not use the full amount. I may just use half of each and then make a second one using half of each. But I'll show you my progress. I only started last night, and this takes a bit of finicky work. Oh dear. You change your yarn every 2 rows. So here's what I have done so far. I'm starting from the middle of this cake, and you alternate every 2 rows, and I'm working from the outside of this cake. So we get the teal and purple. It's actually a purple mix here, and eventually it'll work into this, I don't know, peachy apricot color, and that apricot will get mixed in with the gray on the outside of this one. Now, these are both, one has a label off because I'm working from the outside, but these are both Etrafil gradient cakes, Etrafil puzzle gradient cake. I may have gotten them from Hobium, but there are other places that sell this. You can use any gradient cake. A lot of the people use the Shapier's gradient cakes. They're more expensive, so I didn't want to use them. You could also use the gradient cakes from Hobie. Who else? There are lots of individual companies now making gradient cakes, and you can go Yarn Art. Yarn Art has lots. The flowers Moonlight, I have lots of those, and I put some together. And you can go on Etsy and find lots of companies making gradient cakes. Now, the specs on this is 250 grams, 8.8 ounces. It has 1,000 meters or 1,093 yards. And I'm thinking, the whole thing, 2,000 yards? Do I want it that big? I don't know. I'm just going to work on it until I get a size that I think is more than large enough, and then I'm going to call it quits. I'm just going to go till I feel like it. And it is using I'm using a 3.5 furls hook. You can't get the kind I like below 4, so I get the wooden ones. And actually, I like the wooden ones just as well as I like the resin ones. Sometimes they slide nicer on some of the yarn. So that's what I'm working on. And given that that's 2,000 yards, usually takes me close to a week to do one cake. So I'm going to be working on that for a good 10 days, 2 weeks, until I get tired of it and decide it's big enough. And then when I'm done that, I am going to pick up my April lilies, my April cow item. So I do have a couple of acquisitions to show you this week. I have told you about all the yarn sitting on my table back there, and I made quite a few purchases back during Black Friday. I mean, this stuff I got during Black Friday and a little bit at Christmas, but most of it was from late fall and early New Year. I haven't bought much yarn lately. So I'm going to show you one of those, but I got another acquisition this week. In fact, I think I just got it Monday, and I thought I'd show it first. There is a Facebook page. I'm sure there are many of them, but I joined this one particular. It's called Canadian Yarn Destashers. So anybody can join it, and when they want to destash yarn, they sell their yarn on this website. And I don't go on it very often. Lots of times they are selling, Lion Brand yarns, Caron yarns, Premier yarns, or they have things like King Cole and what are the James C. Brett, the ones from the UK. They have lots and lots of variety, but I'm only really interested in, at this point, in buying hand-dyed yarn. And there was one yarn that caught my attention. This lady was selling it. She was in Ontario. So I was quite excited about it. So I contacted her. She must have had, at least 2 dozen, and I'm going to say closer to 30 different skeins of yarn. So I took a good look at it, and I contacted her to see what she still had left. It had been up for a little bit, but she still had the one I really wanted left. So that was great. Then in talking with her, she made a point of telling me that she had hand dyed some of this, just so I knew in case that was a problem for me, and that didn't really bother me. The colors are the colors. And finally, the one I liked the most, I said, "Do you still have that?" "Yes," she said, "but you should know that it has sparkle in it." I said, "Great, bonus. Sparkle's my favorite. Bring it on." So in the end, because if you bought more than 4 skeins, the price came down. So I got these for Canadian money, $15 a skein. That's less than half price of what I would have bought these. So we'll start with these two. These two are dyed by her, and they were purple. What more can I say? They are all merino nylon blend, 423 meters, so 463 yards. That's a little bigger than most, and it's a 75-25 sock yarn. But this is her name. I don't know that she's out there anywhere advertising, but she calls it WN Yarns. And I can't even give you a link to her because I don't know where she would be, if she's on Etsy or anything. But I really like the purple. And there are some things that I wouldn't mind making all in one color. And then she had another purple, but I couldn't buy everything. But she had this other one, and this is not her. It's Yarn Indulgence. And I'm going to check out this website. I haven't had time yet, and see what else they have. So you may see an acquisition from this company in the future. But I thought that it might work with this yarn. Not quite the exact same color, but I don't think it matters. I think I like them together. We'll see. If I find something I need 3 skeins, I'll use that. But I quite like that. And you know me, I always save the best for last. Here's the next. I bought 5 altogether. This one again is dyed by her, and it is called the Stone Age. Those other 2 were called Nightshade. Oh, I didn't tell you the specs on this one. This is 400 yards, fingering, 70 merino, 20 cashmere, and 10 nylon. Yeah, it does feel a little nicer than the other ones. Very nice. Okay, so every now and then I like a good brown, and I really like the tones of that. I'll probably use it by itself. And again, it's the same specs as the purple. This was hand dyed by her, but I think she's done a great job of this blacks and browns and rusty color. I really like that. And finally, the one that got my attention from the very beginning was this one. And this was not hand dyed by her. It is a merino nylon stellina blend, 438 yards with the sparkle. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. And I don't know, I think the company is Supernatural Yarns. Supernatural Yarns, Etsy.com. So again, I'm going to be checking out this company and seeing what else they have to offer. Because for a straight merino nylon blend, this feels very nicer than the others. This feels very nice. I just love those colors. Oh, I don't know. Needs to go near the top of my list of yarns to work with. So that was one that worked out very well, because it turned out that the lady lived in Mississauga, which is, I don't know, 3 hours from here driving time. And she put it in the mail Saturday night. She was very quick. I only paid her supper time Saturday. It was in the mail, the post office, Saturday night, and I got it Monday. Well, that was very fast service, and I'm very happy with that yarn. So now, one of my acquisitions from last fall that's been sitting here a while, I made some orders from McMullen Fiber Company. I forgot to look up where they're located. I know they're in the U.S., McMullen Fiber Company. And I think what really got me was this package. I saw this mini collection. No, it doesn't say anywhere where they're located, but I want to take that card out of there so you can see these colors better. This is a mini collection, and I think I counted there are 11. And I'm not going to take them all out, but here is the collection. Browns, oranges, golds, into teals, purples, blues, and a little bit of a kind of reddy rust color. But here is a selection already figured out for me. It's actually called the Provence Collection Mega Mini Skein Set. A lot of sets only have 5 or 6 in them. This one is bigger. It wants to stick all over the place. I want to close it so I can read it to you. Okay, so it tells you the color names of them all, but they are 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and each skein is approximately 90 yards, 25 grams. So you'll have to look up yourself where they come from, and maybe if it's close to you, you might want to look at getting something from them. I'm sure they don't have this collection anymore. It might have been their fall collection, and maybe they have a different collection now. But Squishy Minis is all that they call it. But I think it's, I never thought to feel them when I had my hand in there. Man, they feel nice. So that's me. I'm beginning to get quite a collection of mini skeins. And also from them, I got this. Again, you know, I try every now and then to get something very different color-wise. And this is different for me. Macmillan Fiber Company. This is their Sublime Base, which is 100% superwash merino. It has 430 yards, and the color is Plum Tree. I rather like that combination. It should be quite interesting. And I could always put it with like a burgundy, even black. It would go with black. It's lighter at this end than at this end, but interesting combination of colors. Then I got the base called Posh Sock. I love a good blue. And this is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. You can feel the cashmere in that. That is really nice. And there are 420 yards. It's quite a nice blue. I like it. Wouldn't even mind having a couple of those to put together, but I think I might put it with something down the road. It's nice. It does feel good. And finally, because at the time I was looking for a number of mohair blends, I got this teal color. And most of this mohair I've been getting, if I buy a few skeins, I'll put 2 strands together to make something. I saw a shawl made out of mohair I would like to try. But some of them, I'm just going to take a strand and put it with a regular, a regular yarn that might be close in color to this. I've seen a number of people, Candy, a Blue-Eyed Style, often puts a mohair with something else that's, maybe busier or variegated, and it tones it down, and they look quite nice. Anyway, this is their fluff base, and it has 72% kid mohair and 28% silk. And it is very, very fine. If I could find a strand to show you. I think that's just the strand they tie it with. I think the other strands are thinner than that. There we go. There's a strand. It's quite fine, but it feels lovely. Mohair and silk, 455 yards, and that's only 50 grams. So because it's so light, you get a lot in a skein. So that's the end of my acquisitions. That's all I have to show today. I mean, I could keep showing it all, but need to save some for next week. So I'm going to be working diligently this week on my windsurfer Windsurfer shawl. There are a few of them, different names, very, very similar to this. So I will show you how far I proceed with this next week. It's probably all I'll have to show next week is how far I get with this. I will also be watching Karen Hooley, who is interviewing another yarn dyer tomorrow. So that's another yarn company I'm going to be checking out and maybe making a purchase. We'll see. And the other exciting thing I want to mention is that a friend and I have decided that we are going to go to the PEI, that's Prince Edward Island, the PEI Fiber Fest in the fall. And PEI, for those that are not Canadians, is our easternmost province, and it's the smallest province. It's very tiny. It's an island. And so I'm really, really excited to be going, and you'll hear more about it when the time gets close. And it's not till October, so I have a 6-month wait yet. But I'm just excited that we did book our room. We still have to book a flight, which we will do soon. So that's all for this week. It is shorter. I don't have as many FOs these days, so I don't have so much to show you unless I go back and bring up some past ones, and everything has gotten jumbled up, so I'm not sure what I have shown and what I haven't shown. But I'm diligently working now on that new project, and it'll be interesting to see how much I have to show you next week. So until then, happy hooking.